The licensed version of Riva Trademark is a client-server system with a database that runs in SQL Server. If your firm doesn't already have a SQL Server, then you can turn one of your PCs into a server by installing SQL Server Express, which is more than adequate for a small office. There's a 32-bit version and a 64-bit version, so you'll need to install the version that matches your operating system. If you don't know if your PC is 32-bit or 64-bit, then right-click the My Computer icon, choose Properties, and see what kind of operating system you've got by looking here. We're on a 32-bit version, but it's exactly the same steps to install SQL Server either way. So we'll start by right-clicking the appropriate installation file and then choosing Run as Administrator. You'll definitely want to be an administrator when you set up SQL Server. So we tell Microsoft, yes, we really did mean to click that button, and that will start the installation. Some of these files take a while to load, so we'll be pausing the screen recording here and there so we can skip ahead. When this screen comes up, you'll need to click this option since we're creating a new installation of SQL Server. And once again, this can take a while, so we'll skip ahead in the video. When this screen comes up, we'll agree to the license. We'll choose Next here, and the setup will look for any recent updates, and that can take a while, so we'll skip ahead. On this screen, you choose which options to install. You could install all of them, but this option is for something called replication that you're not going to use, so you can deselect that and save yourself some hard drive space. On this screen, the defaults are fine, so we'll just click the Next button. We're going to change some of these values later, but this isn't the best place to do that, so we'll just keep going. Now on this screen, we do want some changes. If you leave this option selected, then SQL Server will only accept what's called Windows authentication. In other words, it will read the user's credentials from whichever PC is trying to connect, and that's all it will allow, which means your only option when you log into Riva Trademark is this one, Windows Integrated Security. In a small office situation, that means your network domain has to be set up just exactly the right way, and frankly, the odds aren't very good that it is set up just exactly the right way. So you'll probably save yourself some headaches if you allow people to log in with a username and password like this. So to make that possible, you want to choose this option when you set up the server. If you do choose this option, then you'll need to create a password for the system administrator, and even though you'll probably never log in as the system administrator, it would be a good idea to write down this password before you continue. Another option you absolutely want to make sure you've selected here is to add the current user as a SQL Server administrator. It's one of those crazy Microsoft security things, but believe it or not, it's possible to install a SQL Server on a PC where you're the administrator and you're the person running the installation, and then find out the hard way that you can't actually do anything with the server because you're not considered an administrator. Go figure. Now, the installation program did add me as an administrator, but I always click this button at least one more time just to make sure. In fact, sometimes I click it twice just to make sure. So now we're ready to install the options we've selected. So once again, we'll skip ahead in the video so you don't have to sit there and watch the progress bar. And as you can see, it says complete up here and everything looks fine. So we're done with the installation, which means we can move on to configuring SQL Server so it will actually work the way we need it to work. So to get started, open your list of programs. Find Microsoft SQL Server in the list. Open the Configuration Tools, and then click the SQL Server Configuration Manager. Yes, Microsoft, we really did mean to click that button. Now, if you look up here, you can see the server is running because of this little green arrow, but unfortunately, it won't accept incoming connections from any other PCs until we tell it to. So to do that, we open the server network configuration, and then we click the icon for the protocols. We need these two to be enabled, so we'll right-click each one and choose Enable. And we'll get a warning that the changes won't take place until we restart the server, but that's fine because we have to do that later anyway. So we go back to SQL Server Services, and now we're going to change these. For whatever reason, these default values don't seem to work very well for making connections in a small office, so we're going to change these. So we'll right-click the SQL Server icon and click the Stop button. And then we right-click it again and choose Properties. And now instead of this account, we want to use the Local System account. So you'll have to click this option and then choose Local System here. We'll go ahead and apply that, and now the server has the options we want. It's using the local system account, and the start mode is automatic, which means the server will start running whenever you fire up the PC. The other one we need to fix here is the SQL Server browser, which is what looks for other PCs on the network. And if this isn't on, it won't recognize any other PCs. So we'll right-click and choose Properties. And what we want here is the local system account, but if we choose that and then try to click the OK button, we get this error message. Why? Because Microsoft decided that by default, the browser should be disabled. So go to the Service tab, and for reasons only Microsoft understands, we can't make the changes we want to make unless the start mode down here is set to manual. So we'll choose that and click OK. Then we'll right-click and choose Properties again. And this time we can set it to Local System. And we'd like to set the browser to fire up automatically, but once again, for reasons only Microsoft understands, that won't work unless we OK this change first. And then start the server. And then start the browser. And then open the properties for the browser one more time. And go to the Service tab, and now we can finally set the startup mode to automatic. And now we finally have everything set the way we need it set. The server and the browser are both running on the local system account, and they're both set to start up whenever you start up the PC.